In 1924, the average American house cost 3 years of wages. Today it costs 8. The tools got better. The math got worse. Why? 100 years ago, a 30-year-old with grit and a few $100s could buy land, build a business, and die wealthy. Today, that same 30-year-old has a smartphone, a LinkedIn profile, and $40,000 in student debt, and a 4% chance of owning a home before 40. More opportunity, less wealth. That's not a paradox. That's the story. We're going back 100 years. Not for nostalgia. To find out exactly where the game changed. 6 rounds. 1924 versus 2024. Every path to wealth, then and now. And the answer to why it's harder is not what you've been told. Round 1. Let's go. Round 1. Land and real estate. 1924. Land in America in 1924 is cheap in ways that should make you furious. Nearly free land, 160 acres. Available by government grant in the American West, if you just work it. The Homestead Act didn't close until 1976. In 1924, it's still very much open for business. A modest farm outside a growing city costs what a skilled tradesman earns in 2 years. Cities are expanding outward fast. Farmland near Detroit, Chicago, and Los Angeles is turning into suburbs in real time. If you buy 5 acres on the edge of a growing city and hold it, you are very likely to become wealthy. The game is simple. Buy land in the path of expansion. Wait. Edge. Supply is constrained by geography. They're not making more land. And in 1924, before zoning laws calcify, before environmental restrictions, the conversion from farmland to suburb can happen in years, not decades. Risk. The Great Depression is 5 years away. Land values will crater. Banks will call loans. If you're leveraged in 1929, you will lose the land, the capital, and possibly your house. The timing window is brutal. 2024. Real estate still works, but the entry price has changed everything. The median U.S. home in 1924 cost roughly $4,000, about 3 years of average wages. The median U.S. home in 2024 costs about $420,000, roughly 7 to 8 years of median wages. The ratio has doubled. The door didn't close, it slammed shut. RET now let you own a fraction of a commercial property for the price of a stock. But here's what nobody tells you. The institutions buying up single-family homes in 2024 use the same leverage math you do, except they have $50 billion and a data team. Real estate still builds wealth, but it no longer builds it from zero. You need capital to get capital. Edge. Leverage. A 20% down payment controls 100% of the asset. When prices rise, your equity return is amplified. A house that rises 10% gave you a 50% return on your down payment. Risk, rates, taxes, insurance, and HOA fees can consume your cash flow entirely. Landlording in 2024 is a second job with legal liability attached. And in most major cities, you're bidding against institutional investors with better data and no emotional attachment to the deal. Round 2. Business ownership, 1924. In 1924, most Americans live within a few miles of where they were born. Commerce is local, and that's the opportunity. Open a hardware store, a pharmacy, a grocery, a dry goods shop, and if your town has 3,000 people and no competition, you have a business. The local monopoly isn't illegal, it's just geography. Your biggest competitor is 20 miles away, and nobody's making that trip for a bag of nails. In 1924, you fought 3 competitors. In 2024, you fight 3 million. Edge. No online competition, no Amazon, no national chains dominating retail yet, though Sears is already threatening this model through its catalog. If you're the only hardware store in a county, you're essential infrastructure. Risk. The car is changing everything faster than most business owners realize. By 1930, people can drive 20 miles to the larger town with better selection. Local monopolies built on geography are already starting to erode. You may not see the disruption coming until it's already arrived. 2024. The local mode is gone. The global one just opened. In 2024, you can start a business with no inventory, no storefront, no staff, and no significant upfront capital. Dropshipping, digital products, SaaS, newsletters, courses, content businesses. The ceiling is global. 7 billion potential customers, 7 billion competitors. In 1924, you competed with the 3 other stores in your town. In 2024, you compete with everyone on Earth who sells what you sell. Edge. Distribution costs are near zero. A single viral post can replace a decade of advertising. The right product found by the right audience at the right moment can generate life-changing money from a spare bedroom. Risk. Most online businesses fail within 2 years. The ease of starting is matched by the ease of being copied, outranked, or disrupted. What worked on Instagram in 2018 does not work in 2024. The game changes faster than most business owners can adapt. Round 3. The stock market, 1924. The 1920 stock market is the most extraordinary wealth generation event in American history up to that point. Between 1920 and 1929, the Dow Jones rises almost 500%. If you put money in and leave it alone, you look like a genius. But access is limited. You need a broker. You need a margin account. The information you trade on is slow. Days behind the floor, weeks behind the insiders. The game is rigged toward those who know people inside the system, which is why the people who get rich fastest in this decade are often the ones who are already rich enough to have the right connections. Edge. The bull run of the 1920s is genuinely exceptional. Being invested in American equities in 1924, before the peak, and smart enough to get out before 1929 multiplies your capital several times over. The window exists. The timing is everything. Risk. October 1929. The Dow loses 89% of its value from peak to trough. Imagine losing 90% of everything you own, then waiting 25 years just to break even. If you are 35 in 1929, the math is simple. You will die before you get your money back. Leverage, buying on 10% margin, makes this not just painful. It makes it unsurvivable for ordinary investors. There is a photograph taken outside the NYSE in November 1929. A man in a good suit is selling his car on the street for $100. A handwritten sign on the windshield. He needed the cash that afternoon. 3 weeks earlier, he was wealthy. Then the margin call came. Then everything else followed. He is not a reckless gambler. He is an ordinary man who believed the market only went one direction. That belief is the most expensive one in the history of finance. 2024. For the first time in human history, access to the stock market is effectively free and frictionless. Zero commission trades, fractional shares, index funds with fees below 0.1%. A 19-year-old with $50 can own a piece of every company in the S&P 500 before lunch. The research on what works is peer-reviewed and free. It has been available online for 20 years. The barrier to building wealth through equities is now almost entirely psychological. Most people still don't use the tools correctly. Edge. Compounding over time works. It always has. The S&P 500, over any 30-year period in its history, has produced positive real returns. The person who starts at 25 and contributes consistently has a mathematical near certainty of building significant wealth by 55. Risk. Ease of access also enables ease of self-destruction. Options gambling, meme stocks, crypto leverage. The same phone that lets you buy a diversified index fund Also lets you bet your rent on a 0D TE options contract. The tools are neutral. The impulses are not. There is a Reddit thread that gets posted every few months. It has different usernames each time, but the same shape. Someone put their savings, sometimes $8,000, sometimes $40,000, sometimes more, into a single options position. It expires worthless. They are writing about how they are going to tell their partner. The instrument changed. The pain did not. In 1929, the ruin arrived by telegram. In 2024, it arrives as a push notification before your coffee gets cold. Round 4. Skills and expertise. 1924. In 1924, a skilled tradesman, a plumber, an electrician, a machinist, a cabinet maker, earned significantly more than an unskilled laborer. The path is an apprenticeship. 3 to 7 years of minimal pay in exchange for the skill itself. Then you are untouchable. The master tradesman who builds a small crew and takes on larger contracts becomes wealthy. Quietly. Without a single pitch deck. The ceiling is regional, but the floor is solid. A skilled tradesman in 1924 almost never starves. Edge. Your skill cannot be imported. The plumber in your town is the plumber in your town. There is no outsourcing. No automation yet. Geography protects your income in a way that almost no profession enjoys today. Risk. Injury is catastrophic. There is no workers' compensation worth speaking of, no health insurance, no safety net. One bad fall from scaffolding ends your career and potentially your family's financial stability permanently. 2024. Expertise in 2024 has split in 2 directions at once. Rare, highly specialized skills, machine learning engineering, cardiac surgery, appellate law, command compensation that would have seemed fictional to anyone in 1924. A senior AI engineer at a tech company earns more than most 1924 industrialists did. Meanwhile, the trades that geography once protected are now being squeezed. By automation, by labor movement, by wage stagnation in some sectors. But something new has emerged. The ability to package expertise and sell it at scale. In 2024, being the best plumber in your city makes you comfortable. Being the person who teaches plumbing to 200,000 YouTube subscribers makes you wealthy. The skill is the same. The distribution is different. Edge. Expertise combined with an audience is the most powerful wealth engine of the current era. The doctor who writes a newsletter. The lawyer who makes explainer videos. The chef who sells an online course. The skill earns once. The content earns indefinitely. Risk. The half-life of specific skills is shortening. The programmer who specialized in a particular language in 2015 may find that language deprecated in 2025. Expertise requires constant reinvestment to maintain its value. The craftsman's skill aged gracefully in 1924. Many digital skills do not. Round 5. The new paths that didn't exist. This is the round where the comparison breaks. Because some of the most significant wealth creation mechanisms of 2024 have no equivalent in 1924. They didn't exist. The concepts didn't exist. Venture capital and equity. In 1924, if you worked at a company, you were paid a wage. That was the entire relationship. Today, a first engineer at a startup takes equity. If the company succeeds, that equity can be worth tens of millions. This has minted more self-made millionaires in the last 30 years than any mechanism in history, except perhaps post-war American homeownership. Creator economy. In 1924, if you had something to say, you needed a newspaper, a publisher, or a radio station to say it. All 3 required gatekeepers. Today, the person with 300,000 engaged followers on any platform is a media company. Brand deals, product lines, courses, memberships. The infrastructure is free. The audience is built with content. Passive income at scale. In 1924, passive income meant physical assets, rents, dividends, royalties for the very few who had published books or registered patents. Today it also means a Notion template that sells 10,000 copies, a plugin with a recurring subscription, a print-on-demand store, a licensed music track used in 1,000 YouTube videos. None of these required significant upfront capital. All of them generate income while you sleep. Edge. The leverage available to an individual in 2024 has no historical precedent. One person, one laptop, one good idea. Global distribution, zero marginal cost of replication. The economics of scarcity that governed all previous wealth creation have partially broken down. Risk. Most of these paths are winner take most. The top 1% of creators take the majority of creator revenue. The top startup earns more than the next 10 combined. The perception that these paths are widely accessible often does not match the statistical reality of who actually achieves meaningful income through them. The verdict. So, which century was better for getting rich? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on who you were. In 1924, geography protected you. A skilled trade in the right location, a parcel of land in the path of expansion, a business in a town without competition. These were reliable, if modest, routes to wealth. The ceiling was lower, but the floor was more forgiving. The game was slower, and the catastrophic risks, the depression, the market crashes, were survivable if you weren't over-leveraged. In 2024, the floor is less forgiving. Inflation eats savings. The cost of entry to the classic wealth vehicles, property, business ownership, has risen faster than wages for 30 years. The barriers are real. But the ceiling? The ceiling is gone. No trader in 1924 could reach a global audience from a bedroom. No craftsman could sell their expertise to 500,000 people simultaneously. No ordinary worker could own a piece of every major company in the world for the price of a sandwich. The tools available to an average person in 2024 are more powerful than anything available to the wealthiest individuals in 1924. And most people are still losing, not because the tools failed them, because they are playing the old game with the new tools. The 1924 farmer who kept plowing his single field while the car changed everything around him did not fail from laziness. He failed from certainty. Certainty that the thing that worked before would keep working. Every generation thinks the game got harder. The truth is, the rules just changed. Each door closed. Something new opened. Nobody saw it coming, until someone did. The people who got rich in every era were not the smartest. They were not the hardest working. They were not the luckiest. They were the ones who noticed the rules had changed, before everyone else did. The question isn't which century was easier. The question is whether you're still playing a dead man's game. The opportunity didn't disappear. It moved. And most people never followed it.